and speak next semester. But yeah, if you're seriously interested in doing cybersecurity in the Valley, listen to this man. Mr. Cosmos, I appreciate you coming down here.
Thank you for having me.
And I give you the floor.
Thank you. So my name is Iram Cavazos. I run Kairos Defense Cybersecurity. I'll keep this light. Next semester, if the professor allows me, I'll do some live hacking demos. I think there's some really cool stuff that we can show you guys. We just recently did we had some car dealerships and car manufacturers bring us in, and we were able to show, how we could take over some cars. So the next thing we're getting into is some automotive security. We just won a competition up in Detroit. We hacked a fleet of Teslas, so we were able to, they're
parked at a business, and we were able to turn them on, drive them to where we were, and that was what the competition was. And we did it with a group of high school kids, about 12 of them. So we taught them how to break the Tesla software, get past the security, and then bring them back. And the goal was to show why we need to harden certain areas, why we need to have a more aggressive approach coming into this next season of technology. I mean, I'm sure everybody in here knows all the AI that's just running rampant all over the place. It's getting much more sophisticated than I think most people thought, as quick as it was going to be. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of things. I'll keep it light. Recently, the big thing that I've been seeing is fileless ransomware. I wanted to show you guys that first. This is what fileless ransomware looks like. How do I expand this? Well, I'll just bring it up. So this is what a fileless ransomware would look like coming in through PowerShell. There's different variations. It looks different to anybody. This is just something that I caught in the wild while I was working. Looks like a bunch of hieroglyphs, but what it basically does in this situation, it does many different things. In this situation, it took control of PowerShell. So it made the computer think, it made the EDR that was protecting this workstation think that PowerShell was giving it specific commands. So it's like, oh, well, it's not malicious. The computer's telling me that it's from the operating system, so I'm just going to do whatever it tells me to do. And so 5 minutes in, I mean, this had complete control of everything. And this one specifically took over Intuit QuickBooks. So it sent the finance department into disarray within like 5-10 minutes of it hitting the system. So it doesn't need to write itself on the disk. It's free flowing. It manipulates whatever it wants, whenever it wants. The only other time that I've seen this currently is on Windows updates. A lot of what Windows is doing, and this is where we're trying to bring in awareness, is a lot of these major companies such as Microsoft, and I don't mean to talk bad about anybody, but these are the things that we're seeing right now live in the real world, is Microsoft is sending a lot of their back-end development to other countries such as China. And instead of paying US engineers, they're paying Chinese engineers. And they put stuff like this that stays embedded in Windows updates. And it actually hit one of our servers, well, one of my client servers in McAllen, and it took it down as soon as it was updating, and it would not come back up. We basically had to just start from scratch. And this came in directly through Microsoft. So this happened right after they signed their deal with the Pentagon. They took over the Pentagon's cloud infrastructure. So the US government was pissed, and they're like, well, how do we fight this? And Microsoft was like, well, it's going to take us 6 months to come through, thousands and thousands of lines of code to figure out where this was embedded. So a lot of times, and with the Microsoft instance, what I saw was it came through on an update a year and a half before, but it wasn't brought to life until about 3 months ago, I think is when it happened with us. So it was there from a year and a half ago. It just stayed asleep until whoever embedded it, whoever put it in, activated it. So we're seeing a lot of that right now because, and I don't think a lot of people realize that, we are in war right now. We're in a cyber war, a full-out cyber war. Forget about all these missiles that they're, all these threats that are going on with Ukraine and Russia. This is what's happening behind the scenes. If these other world leaders, these rogue nation states, they want to cause disruption, this is where it's coming. And we've seen it with Bank of America. We saw it with CrowdStrike, how they got taken down at a Friday at 1 o'clock in the morning. That was not an update. That was a hit just like this. It was something that was asleep in one of their updates. They didn't test it in a sandbox environment. They rolled it out internationally, and it took down, banks. It took down airports. I'm sure everybody remembers when that happened. So that's something a bit similar to what was going on. This was embedded in one of the updates. They thought, they scanned it for vulnerabilities. Oh, it's fine. It's just, everything running behind the scenes through PowerShell, whatever mechanisms they had going on. And I'll actually show you guys a video of what we did with CrowdStrike in LA. It was pretty cool. Let me show you that. Actually, since I just talked about it, let me show you that. And I'll walk you through this video. Okay, so here's, we were actually on a server, on a CrowdStrike server. So we're going through, we're showing how, the Falcon sensors are all activated. They're talking to, Windows security. It's going through. So now we're going to start kind of testing and throwing some ransomware at it. And this, I do it, I'm partnered with a company out of DC called Arm Cyber. They're very good friends with me. And this is something that I did, and I just recorded myself kind of running through this. So we're coming through, we're running the ransomware tests on one of their servers, and you'll see the detection get alerted here in a minute. So it's going through the file system. There's the malicious code that I was showing you before. Okay, it's going through, and it'll get picked up here in a second. And so with our specific ransomware that we built in collaboration with ARMS, we were able to get one of CrowdStrike's servers up in 30 minutes. So, it took them like 2 weeks to figure it out. We got it up in 30 minutes. And that was just done with some special techniques that we've patented, just kind of taking our time and trying to see all the ransomware that's out there, and just testing everything in a testbed environment. And so we were fortunate enough that they allowed us to get on one of their servers and test this out. So it'll go, but that's basically the gist of what happened. And then, yeah, we came through. So here we are on the demo account. And then I come through and I apply some settings. So we detected it, put some file entropy, some decoy files, so that we're trying to trick it in real time. We're trying to make it go to a clean honeypot to capture it. And so we know exactly where it is, what it's talking to, and then we kill it. So sometimes when we just kill it without having it go to a honeypot, we may not catch all of it. We may only catch a part of it. We're trying to trick it into going into a direction where we can just throw a net over it and kill it. So that's basically what we're doing here in this section. Let's see, did it start over? Oh no, it's still going. So yeah, that's basically what we're doing here. And this was just, we've done this, with I get on GitHub and I'm downloading every packet that I can possibly find of ransomware, because I'm throwing it at our system, trying to learn, trying to make it better, because the hackers are not taking a break. So that was one instance. I'll come back to some other videos. There's some stuff with Sentinel I want to show you guys.
This system you're talking about, this is homegrown, right?
Homegrown, yeah. Yeah, we developed it here. One of my buddies, his name is Dr. Pottiger. Your professor got a chance to meet him over the line. He's going to be living here. He spends half his time here and in DC. He used to be one of the top 3 offensive hackers for the NSA. So one of the guys that's like penetrating Iran and Syria, you know, all these hotbed countries that the U.S. has to keep their eyes on, he looks like a teddy bear when he walks in, but he is a very dangerous man. And so he actually was one of the guys that helped me put my initial pen testing stuff together, because I said, Dr. Pottinger, how can we, what can separate us from all the normal pen testing companies that are out there, right? Pentest.com that does, you know, vulnerability scanning for your website, Galactic Advisors that pen test workstations. You know, what could set us apart, right? What makes us different? And so, I'm going to put this is a 128-page report. We won't have enough time to go through the whole thing, but I'll put it on my website if you guys want to download it. I'll put it up tomorrow morning, and you guys can go to kairosdefense.com and you can download it and look at it. I got tons of tools in here, tons of GitHub tools towards the end that you guys can look at, Wireshark simulations. So basically, through this report, we're taking more of an offensive approach. That's something that I don't see from a lot of other pen testing companies. So when we're going in, we're testing everything, and we don't just pick a subset of IPs, because what if there's something on the other subset of IPs that's not being looked at? We want to look at everything as a whole. We don't just take 50 to 500. We're taking all IPs at once. Okay, there's something on here I wanted to show you guys. This is an actual pen test report that I turned into a sample. It's for a company that's no longer in service. It's something that I did about a year ago. But there's just, if you go through it, there's a lot of tools, a lot of protocols that I'm running through. It kind of shows you step by step of how my mind's working while I'm running one of these reports. Now, it's been about a year. We're doing some more obfuscation tools, which is we're disguising ourselves better and better so that we go undercover to where these MDRs, these EDRs, these XDRs are not able to pick us up. And so we're using a technique called, what is it? Why is it spacing? I'm spacing right now on it. 3D deception. So we're basically manipulating the end user's system and their EDR. So we'll say, hey, it's kind of like throwing a ball, where we're saying, hey, we're over here on this port, on this door, but we're actually over here. And that took us a while to kind of develop. That was something that came out of, when I was doing my master's, it came out of a weird project that I was doing, and I had that idea. I said, wait a minute, what if I can trick the system to think we're over here, but we're actually down here? And so what we do to combat that, so when we come in and we do the remediation to say, hey, this is where the problems is, this is where the vulnerabilities are at, we come in with remediation tactics. And that's something that I not only have an offensive side of doing the 3D deception where we're constantly manipulating where the doors are at, but we do a defensive approach to it as well, to do a remediation factor to say, hey, we got in through Sentinel, through their vulnerability exploits, you know, whatever, X, Y, and B. Well, I also have a defensive way of applying that to the end users to where their ports are being manipulated at the same time as well. So let's say somebody of my caliber comes in and tries to do it back at them unethically, then, you know, they come knocking at this door, but then they come back 2 minutes later and the door's now on the roof, right? So I kind of paint the picture of a house, and the windows and the doors are constantly moving. So, you know, when they come back, because it takes time to do this, right? You got to do some reconnaissance. You're coming in, you find one port of entry, and then you're like, okay, I got to come over here and write this script or do this manipulation tactic. By the time I come back, that port is over here. So they got to go back and look for it. You know, at the end of the day, they're just fed up and tired. They're like, okay, we're not going to be able to break this. It's going to take a supercomputer to be able to do this. So yeah, if you guys feel free, I'll post this, or I can email it to your professor and he can email it out. I really don't mind you guys taking a look at it. But this is some of the stuff that I was doing, you know, about a year ago. We've implemented a lot more stuff since then, but it's something that I'm legally allowed to share now. But if you can learn some of these exploits, some of these tools, you'll be ahead of the game. And a lot of these companies, they pay top dollar for people that can run this stuff that you download from GitHub, right? I mean, it sounds crazy, right? But it's the reality of today's world. So yeah, just I have all sorts of tools that I added to this report. I just built this the other day, so I'll go through it and fine tune it. But there's a lot of stuff in here that you guys are more than welcome to go home and try yourself. Build a safe environment at home. Download VirtualBox, it's free. Right, build a couple of machines to talk to each other and run some of these simulations. It's fun to actually see this stuff in real life. I didn't get a love and a passion for cybersecurity until I got my hands dirty with it. And I said, whoa, I can kind of do some of this manipulation. I can manipulate some of these bigger companies, these billion-dollar companies, and I do it in my bedroom. So it's pretty fun, and I put all these figures down here. Look them up on GitHub. Play around with them. It's a lot of fun, but please do it ethically, right? Build a virtual environment. Don't do it on the outside world. You will get in trouble. I got in trouble when I was in high school a couple of times. We got our internet shut off for a week, but I didn't know back then. You know, you're just a kid trying to learn some cool stuff, trying to download illegal games. That's how I got started, and I started getting interested in it. I wanted free games. I wanted free mods. Ended up getting into a little bit of trouble, but it was fun, right? That's how I learned, and I was under 18, so they really couldn't do anything to me at that point. But now I'm 31, and I can go to prison. So yeah, there's a lot of rootkits in here. There's some Python injections that I built that you all are more than free to use. I post them on GitHub. They're free for people to use. I'm not stingy. My whole thing is I want to build some cool tech. Like, you know, the money will come, but let's build some cool tech and get the incoming generation interested in what we're doing. Because I was explaining to everybody before you all walked in, we're outnumbered on a federal standpoint to for example, the Chinese. We're outnumbered 50-1, right? So one of me, there's 50, Chinese hackers that, that's all they do, just like me. That's all I think about is security all day long. But there's 50 other guys I got to go after. We're greatly, greatly outnumbered. So we're pushing the federal government. We're hoping within the next couple of months they let us do more offensive. That's what it looks like it's going towards. So they're going to let us in the private sector do more offensive attacks. So when these companies, here in the valley that have called me, there's companies all over, the state and the country that have called me to come in. And we'll have more flexibility in the coming months to be able to go after them and shut them down, right? Because they're not supposed to be doing that. So legally, we'll have those options here coming soon. So I think that's fun for the industry. It gets me excited because I'm all about, like the ransomware that hit PUB, that was pretty public. We got good enough people to go after and shut these guys down. Don't pay the ransom. That's what I tell everybody. We got good enough people to not only go and get the information back, but shut them down and then turn them over to the authorities while they're crippled. We got good enough people. We don't need to be paying ransom. The U.S. government doesn't need to be paying ransom. And they're realizing that. That's why they're kind of bringing some of these standards down for the NSA, the CIA, DHS, the DOD, even the Department of Energy. They're realizing that they need to make it easier for these freelance hackers to come in and work for the government, because we're losing a war right now big time to other countries, so we need to step it up. And that's going to be a main focus, and you guys are going to see a lot of that in the news in this coming 2025. That's going to be a huge hot button topic. So that's our main focus here at Kairos and I like to tell everybody this, it's kind of a joke, but it's true. If the aliens come down and throw something at us, we need to be somewhat ready, right? We focus on fluidity and flexibility. I'm not stuck on one thing. If we're building a tool, we try to throw in every scenario, every variable that can possibly happen, and then some, right? We're always accounting for X that we don't know. So I go in with that mindset, And I try to preach that to others. If you're getting into this, go into it with the mindset of it can go any direction, even directions that you've never seen before, because every week I'm seeing something new. I'm nonstop learning. I'm always researching. A lot of this job is not a lot of coding, not a lot of scripts. It's a lot of researching. Fall in love with researching. Fall in love with solving puzzles. It's fun. It can be really fun. I didn't like to do it at the beginning. I was like, are you sure this is for me? But once I started kind of getting the hang of it and my mind started grasping a lot of these concepts, I realized that it was endless. My possibilities in this field were endless. And this is the future of really where technology is going, right? We're seeing Neuralink. Those are hackable. We saw back in the day with what's his name, Dick Cheney's company that did those whatever those heart valves, the electronic heart valve, the pacemaker, the electronic pacemakers. Yeah, we saw a live demo of somebody shut off somebody's pacemaker, and yeah, we were in the same meeting with somebody that told Dick Cheney, and the next day Dick Cheney went and got it taken out. He said, "No, I don't want to have that in me. If somebody can hack it, I don't want to have that in me." So, those are some things that we're focusing on right now. That's huge on the automotive side. You would be blown away at some of the kids that I see that are picking up a lot of these, and not just Teslas, Ford. I mean, most computers coming off of 2017 and beyond have chips that are easily accessible from anywhere. So I'm watching kids in middle school even pull up their parents' car and they're messing with it, you know? So we have a huge problem right now, and we're trying to, and that's why I say we need to take more of a hybrid approach. We need to think offensively and defensively at the same time. It doesn't work, you know, without both in cohesion at once. Yeah, so you guys are free to look at this report. I'll make it available to all you guys. It's a lot, but it's really, really cool. Here's one that I did yesterday with Sentinel. So everybody knows who Sentinel is, right? Sentinel-1. They're a big player in the game. They don't like me. I don't like them. They're a good company, but they just, for whatever reason, they're not thinking outside of the box. They're not spending time on future development.
They just gave their products free to everyone in Region 1.
Yeah, don't use it. They have a huge problem when it comes to false positives. They haven't gotten down IoT devices yet. I talked to an attorney that has a huge law firm in Dallas. They got hit with Pegasus, and they were using Sentinel-1. And it actually came through their smart fridge. Yeah. And so Pegasus comes in through text messages. The phone had the fridge had the attorney's phone connected to it. The message came in, hit the fridge, hit the whole system, took everybody down. And they had no idea what to do, and Sentinel could not figure it out. So here's just some ransomware that we threw at a Sentinel executable. We're working a lot with a lot of like fileless ransomware. This one is a filed ransomware, but it looks eerily similar. This one is self-manipulating, so it's constantly changing once it hits the system. I'm gonna I just made these videos actually for you guys, so I'm gonna put these on the website too. You guys can download them, check them out. So it's just kind of going through my process. I should have put a voiceover, but I didn't do that. But yeah, we're basically just testing everything we possibly can against every executable that we can get our hands on. Zscaler, Palo Alto, Webroots, Bitdefender. I need to make a video on Bitdefender. That one was fun. So yeah, we're just going through some test programs here. We're just proving out that Sentinel's not catching it. And their whole motto is, we'll catch it in 60 seconds, we'll encapsulate it, and then we'll do away with it. Well, we're proving that with self-manipulating ransomware files, they can't do it. Why? Why is that? Because they're not, I don't know if it's just they're not focused on the future. You know, this worked out maybe 3 years ago, but now in today's world, we're dealing with security vulnerabilities that are just much more conducive. So here we go. I'm just turning off the decoy files. Those were some endpoints that I had that just had full executables, and I turned up the security on the Sentinel side to full throttle. I mean, just lock everything down as much as you possibly can. So I'm kind of going through the list here. And then I eventually show how we just kill it. It'll come in, we let it come in, and then we kill it with our stuff comes in and kills it. And we're just proving that Sentinel wasn't able to kill it. And that's kind of that's what I'm trying to preach to you guys. So there we go. File being restored to pre-crypted versions. So we have, for ARMS, I built a data recovery system within the machine code that'll actually act like a time vault, like a time machine. It'll revert everything back. Because with a lot of these self-manipulating ransomware files and fileless stuff, you know, at certain points there's